If there's anything you take from this video, it's simple. If you're losing hair, go to a doctor, an actual medical doctor. The specialty you want is a dermatologist. They will prescribe you finasteride and minoxidil, which are the two compounds that actually work. That's how you solve balding. These compounds will work to prevent hair loss in almost all men, that is, in everyone save for perhaps the most aggressive cases or the tiny minority who experience side effects. If that's true, and it is, how do so many men still lose their hair nowadays? Let's talk about that. Stage 0. Before anything else happens, you're losing hair and you don't know it. That's the tragedy. Almost all men could keep a head of hair for a lifetime if they started treatment when they still had 90,000 functioning hair follicles, but most won't notice it at that stage. By the time most men realize that anything is happening at all, they probably lost 30 or 50,000 hair follicles. Then we go to stage 1, denial. You look at your hair and your hairline seems too high, or you see way too much scalp, but nothing is happening, right? You can't possibly be losing hair. You probably have a dad or an uncle who is losing hair, but that can't happen to you. Unfortunately, that denial is costing you time. When you stop, you've already lost an extra 5,000 hairs, and we enter stage 2. Your family and friends deny anything is happening too. You look good, you look fine, don't worry about it. This is not the experience of all men. For example, I had a shining beacon of truth in the form of my mom who was honest with me, but it's the experience of a lot of guys. 5,000 hairs down the drain again. So who will tell you? Stage 3. Most men's exposure to cosmetic services basically amounts to their hairdressers, and if you're lucky, your hairdresser will tell you that you're losing hair. Unfortunately, most of them are not well informed. When I asked mine what I can do about this, she recommended biotin supplements, which are a total waste of time. In addition to that, they have some perverse incentives, telling you that your losing hair may make you feel bad and seek out a different hairdresser, and cosmetic salons will often charge a lot of money for BS treatments. They have a perverse profit incentive to keep their mouth shut and recommend those BS treatments instead of telling you to go to a doctor. This probably cost you another 5,000 hairs. Now you know it's happening and you want to fix this. Your relatives and friends and your hairdresser likely proved useless, so you go online for answers, where we enter stage 4. You encounter the Just Shave It Brah club, who tell you that just shaving it, Brah, is awesome and amazing and great, just go slick bald. Perhaps you are now considerably reassured. You think to yourself, yeah, screw this nonsense, I'm not going to be worried about this, I'm just gonna shave it, brah. The rather telling part is that the people who go through this part of the process typically don't shave their head immediately. They procrastinate on that task, they leave it for a far distant future where it's of course going to be so much more convenient. They only do it right now if their head has deteriorated to the point that it's a disaster. Unfortunately, the Just Shave It Brah club stage might very well cost you another 5,000 hairs, and at this point, maybe your resolution to just shave it, brah, is getting a little bit too real and too close to the present instead of staying comfortably in the distant future. So you seek help online again. Stage 5. You encounter the voodoo magic hair loss industry. Here's the problem. The drugs that actually work for hair loss, the ones that the doctor will prescribe to you, are not patented anymore. They're generic, cheap drugs with slim profit margins. That means that pharmaceutical companies are not incentivized to advertise them anymore. Not that they even can in most places. Outside of the United States and New Zealand, direct-to-consumer advertising of prescription drugs is illegal. You know, by contrast, who does plenty of advertising? The voodoo magic hair loss industry. After all, if I manage to sell you a $100 bottle of overpriced anti-hair loss shampoo, or a $300 hairband, or a $500 low laser light helmet, which will at best give you a tiny fraction of the results of real medicines, if they work at all, those are serious profits right there. Those people will often tell you, look, our product is legit, we even offer refunds. Except these products would be extremely profitable even if 80% of men refunded them, so there's a lot of cash to be made on selling quack supplements and treatments. Lost in the maze of voodoo treatments, you may lose your will to fight altogether or think that the whole thing is a total scam. By the time you figure out what works or grow desperate enough to search for more, you've lost another 5,000 hairs. Stage 6. You know what works, but unfortunately online you will find fearmongering hypochondriac panic finasteride code. If you believe those men, and you shouldn't, because their ideas only have slightly more scientific backing than the idea that electromagnetic hypersensitivity exists, it's quite likely you will have a very bad experience with the drug due to the nocebo effect, which may, in turn, delay your treatment by another 5,000 hair follicles, or maybe forever. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that finasteride can't possibly have any side effects for anyone, but in quality research you will find that those side effects are very rare. But suppose you conquered all those stages. You sought treatment, ignored the Just Shave It Brah club, you figured out the true face of the voodoo magic hair loss industry. You found information on effective treatments, despite the fact that it's minimally advertised now, and you realize that people fearmongering about them are wrong. Here's the worst problem. By the time you realized all of this, how much ground did you lose? How many years of perfectly good hair did you waste? Obviously, this depends on how aggressive your hair loss is and how long it takes you to get over your denial, but it's perfectly possible that by the time you know how to treat it, it's already too late, because you've barely got anything left to save. That alone is bad enough, but it gets worse. Many men who reach this stage will engage in motivated reasoning and convince themselves that this is what they wanted all along, to preserve their self-image and to not admit that they've made a mistake or to avoid admitting that they've been conned by idiots. They will become willing vectors for spreading finasteride misinformation online because that lets them believe they've made the right choice. They will spread the gospel of Just Shave It Brah instead of the actually helpful Just Treat It Brah. This is why it's so important for misinformation on this topic to be destroyed. Ideally, there should be just one stage. When you realize you're losing your hair, or even if you're at risk of it, go to a doctor and get treatment. Because unfortunately, if you reach the 20,000 hair stage, then at this point the Just Shave It Brah club really is your only option. Except, is it? No, it's not. Hair systems are still an option for you. I'm going to plug Jay Ken here. I wouldn't listen to him about the topic of pharmaceuticals, but I can't deny that his knowledge and insights about hair systems are top-notch. Now, on the other hand, if you've still got hair left to save and you want to keep it that way, then for pharmaceutical hair loss knowledge, you should seek out Hair Cafe, who is the best channel on YouTube talking about this topic. If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for your attention.